Sure, that should be good. Well, thank you for having me again at the International Investment Forum, Julian. I appreciate that. And thank you, everybody who's taking an interest in our company. So I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. So Desert Gold Ventures is a gold exploration and development company situated in the gold belt of Western Mali. Our flagship project is a 440 square kilometer project known as the Senegal Mali Shear Zone Project. The project is both named after and overlays the most important regional structure in the mining camp related to all the large gold deposits and producing mines. Our project itself, the SMSC project for short, is bracketed by several tier 1 mines, which I'll get into in a little bit more detail. Management, myself, I've been active in Western Mali since 2011. I acquired my first piece of ground in Western Mali in 2011, which started as a 70 square kilometer block. Over the ensuing several years, through a myriad of acquisitions, local land deals, we've grown the property to 440 square kilometers of contiguous ground. To my knowledge, it's the largest contiguous land package over this structural feature of any non-producer in the belt. And I think that's one of the major differentiating factors regarding Desert Gold. Again, I'll get into that in a bit more detail. My technical director, head of exploration, Don Dudek, is a professional geologist with over 15 years experience, regionally specific experience in Western Africa, in Western Mali, and in Burkina Faso. And I'll get into that in a bit more detail as well. Last year, we published an initial maiden resource of a combined inferred and measured indicated of roughly 1.1 million ounces at a grade of about 1.15 grams. That comes from 5 deposits, 4 of which are located in close proximity to one another in the southern part of the project. All these deposits are open. They're going to get bigger. In addition to that, there are more than 21 gold zones discovered by drilling that are carrying economic grade over width with very minimal work done so far to date. They will likely add to the endowment of this project over time with more work. This is a target-rich environment. There is a lot going on and some very interesting developments very recently, which we'll get into. High level, we're planning, we were planning 30,000 meters of drilling this year. We'd like to do 10,000 meters of RC air core over the next 8 weeks, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail as well. Brief overview of the corporate capital structure. Our main listing is the TSX Venture under DAU. We're also listed on Frankfurt and on the OTCQB. We've got 195.5 million shares non-diluted, roughly 8 million stock options to management, board, and 70.8 million warrants for a total diluted number of 274.2. The warrant schedule is below. I won't go over it in every issuance, but just to say that we've got about 9 million warrants set to expire in the next 10 days, and another 12 million or so is set to expire in August. Most of these warrants are out of the money, with the exception of the December 2025 issuance at 8 cents. Management and large block shareholders participated in that financing, and so these warrants are not spread out. It does, it appears like a lot of overhang, but in fact, it's not. It's held in a very few hands by a lot of insiders and some parties close to the company. Major shareholders: Orca Capital, a German investment group; management and board, we own a large chunk. Merck Investments, a precious metals investment group based out of New York. Grant P Capital is an asset management group in Vancouver associated with my chairman, Sonny. Leeds Jones Gable is a retail brokerage out of Vancouver. Ross Beatty, some of you may know, he's a legendary mining entrepreneur, Canadian mining entrepreneur, chairman of Pan American Silver. He's a material shareholder. Sodanaf International, African-based investor. Lucky Holdings, another group associated with my chairman. And Elemental Altus Royalties, which was previously Altus. They merged with Elemental Royalties. They own a piece as well. I touched on my background. My chairman, Sonny Janda, has been a big supporter. Him and his group have been a big supporter of the company. At arm's length, they probably own in excess of 20% of the publicly traded shares. Don Dudek, a very important part of the equation. He was the vice president of exploration for Avian Gold when they were turning around, running and operating the Tabakoto Sagala mine, which is along the Senegal Mali Shear Zone where we are situated. He was VPX there until they were bought by Endeavour for $450 million in 2012. He then went to Burkina to lead the feasibility study of the Houndé project for Endeavour. After that, he started his own company called Savory, which was a gold exploration company in West Africa and Burkina. They were bought by Semafo, and then Semafo was bought by Endeavour, and Don's been working with us, very involved since about 2018. One other person who's noteworthy, John Learn. He's a Canadian expat, lives in Ouagadougou in Burkina, spends roughly half his time in Mali. He's our in-country exploration manager. So a brief overview on Mali. It's the fourth largest producer of gold on the African continent. A lot of the big names are there. The two major mining camps in Mali, the Western Mali camp where we are, the Southern gold camp in Yanfalila. Both these mining camps are open. There's existing deposits are getting bigger. New discoveries are being made. The gold prospectivity in Mali is only going to continue to get a lot better. So I'm going to take a little bit of time on this slide because this is really, as Don would say, the money slide. This is a plan view of the mining camp in Western Mali. And if you start on the northern part of the camp, you'll see a company called Allied Gold, which you may or may not be familiar. They announced 2 weeks ago a major update. They announced that their reserves have been upgraded from 4 million ounces to 7.3 million ounces. They produced roughly 175,000 ounces in 2022. They now have a plan to go public, and their major backers are the original principals of Yamana Gold. And there's going to be, in all likelihood, if this goes through, a significant upgrade to the Sadiola mine. And all told, the combined historic reserves, resources, and production here are in excess of 15 million ounces. Going southward along the camp is Desert Gold's, our Senegal Mali Shear Zone project. It's a large regional scale project of 440 square kilometers. We have 43 kilometers of strike extent of the main structure, north-south structure known as the Senegal Mali Shear Zone, which is the control structure that's related to all the large deposits in the area. There's a secondary structure called the main transcurrent that starts on the Senegalese side of the border and dips into Mali. It's a structure that's related to Endeavour's Sabodala Massawa group of mines. That was previously Teranga. Endeavour acquired them for about $2 billion last year. And production from these mines was 360,000 ounces last year. And like I said, these mining camps are open. There's a lot of brownfield exploration going on, and they're going to get bigger, and production's going to increase. Further south along the camp, you have Resolute's Mako mine. That's about a 1.5 million ounce deposit that's still producing. Going south back along the Senegal Mali Shear, you encounter Barrick's Loulo-Gounkoto group of mines. Historic production reserves and resources near 20 million ounces. It produced 700,000 ounces in 2022. It's a very prolific area. And then further to the south, you have B2 Gold's Fekola mine. This is their flagship project. They produced 600,000 ounces of gold last year. The deposit, the group of deposits is about 7 million ounces. It's open, it's growing. I'd rather going to spend about 35 million US on exploration this year. So again, this is a mine camp that's only going to continue to get bigger. And then Managem further to the south with the sister deposits of Boto Diaka. That's a little over 2.5, 3 million ounces. Managem's a Moroccan company who's actively developing that area. And to get back to what I mentioned about Don's experience in the belt, These are the sister mines of Tabakoto, Sigala. This is where Dion operated until they got bought out by Endeavor. So just to go over it again, and then 2 days ago, you may have saw that Fortuna Silver is acquiring Chesser Resources, which is an Australian listed company. Chesser has a 860,000 ounce combined resource. The deal all told was about 100 million. Acquisition price was 100 million Australian dollars, or about 60 million US. And so the market cap acquisition cost per ounce was about $68. They received 100% premium from their share price in the acquisition. And also worth mentioning that the Allied IPO that they're planning is probably going to have a valuation of about $1 billion US, maybe a little bit more. So this is a very active mining camp. It's growing, and we have the largest. To give you just a sense, Chesser's area of their project area was 53 square kilometers. Ours is 440. Okay. So that's kind of the lay of the land. This is a brief history of the M&A in the belt. I haven't even had time to update the slide to include the Chesser transaction with Fortuna, but it does fall in line very much with the historic metrics, which is, I think, interesting. So needless to say, there's been a lot of M&A in the belt. The acquisition of Oklo by B2 last year, the most recent acquisition 2 days ago of Fortuna, of Chesser by Fortuna. Biggest takeaways are probably the acquisition cost, market cap per ounce, $91 Canadian, or about $65, $68 US, depending on what exchange rate you're using. To give you a sense, at Desert Gold's current share price market cap, we're trading at around $9 to $10 US per ounce in the ground. And so we're at a pretty heavy discount, which everyone should probably take into consideration. This is a more granular view of our project. So I'll take a second to walk everyone through it. The Senegal Mali Shear Zone is demarcated really by two different rock packages. You've got the background is analytical signal magnetic. You've got magnetic highs to the west, the red, and sedimentary rock packages, magnetic lows to the east. Every yellow dot you see on this image is a golden soil sample between 50 to 200 part per billion gold. The purple dots are 200 billion plus part per 200 ppb gold and up, going all the way to 16,000 ppb gold, or 16 grams per ton in soil. The gold stars that you see is where we have our existing resources that comprise the 1.1 million ounces. And like I said, all these deposits are open along strike at depth. In a lot of cases, the resources are very shallow, Mogia Far South being a very good example of that. And it's certain that this is going to get bigger. The real question is, how much bigger can we make it? Management's internal target, we're targeting a minimum of 2 million ounces. And hopefully we can do a lot more than that. The black stars are where we have other gold zones that are just earlier stage. The white and black boxes were presenting highlighted drill intercepts presented in terms of grade over width. And really what we're trying to show here is the sheer anomalism of gold, the sheer number of targets, and the fact that we have economic gold intercepts all over the property. So we're very, this southern part of the mine camp property here is of high priority to us, as is this northeastern target here. So this is where we'll be focusing a lot of our exploration, and I'll touch on that on the next slide. So actually, here's a overview of our initial MRE that we published last year. For us as management, we believe it's just a starting point. We see all kinds of ways that we can upgrade this and make it bigger. And like I said, management is targeting 2+ million ounces with more work. This is an overview of the work we want to do this year. The yellow dots are air core drilling. The orange dots are reverse circulation or RC drilling, and the red is diamond drilling. The purple fences are what we call auger drilling, and maybe I'll touch on why we do that. A lot of this part of the world, a lot of the geology is covered by laterite, what we call a laterite cap or overburden. And to give you an idea, perhaps 40 to 50% of this property is covered underneath laterite. So the best and most effective tool to test for targets underneath laterite is to use auger. And this has led to a number of material new discoveries on the property. Maybe the most noteworthy is Gorbasi West North, where we discovered a 130 meter wide gold zone, essentially under a 3 or 4 meter cover of laterite. True thickness, a little under 100 meters. It's still open. The ounces, this discovery hasn't even been added to the MRE, and it's less than 500 meters north from Gorbasi West, which is a 200,000 ounce deposit. It's probably materially bigger than Gorbasi West, than the original Gorbasi West. We just have to do more work. So this is the program that we're planning. I'm not sure if we can get it all done this season. It's probably worth just informing you that in Western Mali, there is a very strong rainy season between sort of middle of July going through to November. And although the mining companies that have built up infrastructure operate and produce year round, the exploration companies like ourselves that don't have the infrastructure can't have to pretty much stop working for those months because the roads become impassable and it's very easy to get drill rigs stuck in the mud, and that can be very expensive. So just to give you a high level summary, this is a very large land package located in the heart of one of the most active mining camps from a production perspective, exploration perspective, and M&A perspective. Our property itself has low-hanging fruit on it in terms of adding ounces, material ounces with more drilling, as well as fleshing out earlier stage targets that show a lot of promise. It's pretty much a certainty that our resource base is going to get bigger. Our objective is to drill, let's say, 50 to 60,000 meters over the next 2 work seasons, with the objective of publishing an upgraded MRE and a PEA, so to add an economic component to that resource statement. And hopefully we can achieve that 2 million plus ounce target and make a compelling case for a new, large commercial mine in the area. So that's pretty much it, Julian. I know I've gone through it pretty quick, but I sort of left it high level. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right. Good. Thank you very much, Jared, for the presentation. We do have 10 minutes in front of us. We do have already a few questions from Marcus, from Armin, and so on. So let's deep dive into it. First of all, just a comment on my side. I was noting from this slide, production in your area, production, not reserve, production of 1.8 million ounces more in 2022. This gives quite an idea of how prolific this belt has been and could be, obviously, for Desert Gold during its life and search for big deposits. So first question, is there in Mali fear concerning the Russian Wagner group that they will take over the mine?
No, not at all. I'll address the geopolitical situation though briefly. No, that's not a concern. So Mali is one of the largest countries on the African continent in terms of square kilometers. The mine camps, like I said, are in the far west of the country along the Senegal border here where we're situated. And then in the south, in the Yan Falila mine camp here, where companies like Hummingbird and Endeavor's got a large deposit there called Kalana. The conflict areas, whether it be tribal or some of the jihadist issues that have happened in the past, are largely in the Saharan region of Mali up here in the north. It's a very large, expansive desert environment, and it's just very difficult to police. It's very nomadic, and border security is a challenge. However, the capital Bamako, which I should mark on this slide, I'll update that, is about here, and really you don't see a lot of flow between anything sort of south and southwest of Bamako. And so, when I travel in this part of the country, I don't travel with security or anything like that. I've never had any issues. I just travel with my geological team. And I think the biggest vote of confidence in terms of the stability from a mining perspective is to just look at the sheer investment going into this part of it. We're not talking millions of dollars. We're not even talking hundreds of millions of dollars. We're talking billions of dollars of infrastructure being built and upgraded here to produce gold by some of the largest publicly traded gold companies in the world. So I think, that's the best way to address that, in addition to sort of just my experience there in the last 10 years.
Well, even to add on that, Jared, coming back to the number, that means that the country exported 1.8 million ounces of gold without significant issues of any kind in 2022. This gold needed to leave the country. So if there was any security problem, I'm sure that the numbers like that would be attractive for other people. But with Barrick,
I mean, look at a company, look at how hard a company like Fortuna Silver is pivoting out of Mexico and into West Africa.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, I think the thing that a general comment, because we got a bit of time, is my experience talking with investors and people interested in the space is country and geopolitical risk is oftentimes over discounted or overemphasized, and operational and geological risk is under discounted. So I think that's something that everybody should take into consideration.
Well, I guess one point for that is that it's a lot easier to image and to represent in his mind someone with a gun than actually a diamond driller with a core in his hand. So I guess part of it comes from there. We have another question. Amin is asking, do you have enough cash to do the 60,000 meter drilling?
No. So we've got a little over 1.1 million in the bank. We are working in the background on improving the liquidity profile of the company. But to give your viewer a sense, a 30,000 meter program combined our reverse circulation, air core, and diamond is about a $4 million US spend. And that's all in costs, assays, field support costs, corporate overhead, and so on. So the spend would be roughly between 8 and 9 million US over the next 24 months.
Perfect. Okay, so that also.
So we certainly have enough to get started, but we'll need a larger injection of cash. You don't need to raise the money all at once, but we're working on that in the background.
Perfect. Can you provide more information on the exceptional Auger hole that returned a gold value of 2,680 ppb with a 100-meter wide area of anomalous gold in Auger values?
Yeah, well, that's great. That's good. Paying attention to the details. Okay, so one of our best prospects is Mogiafara South. That's this area here. It's the largest existing single deposit on the property to date at a little over 400,000 ounces. But the drilling is shallow. The average vertical depth of the drilling in this area is about 85 vertical meters. And the deposit is entirely open. But stepping out from just the existing open pit resource, there is anomalous gold everywhere in the area. But there's also a lot of laterite cap cover. So that presents opportunity, but it also presents challenge. So the auger So this is Mogiafara South plan view, just a little bit more zoomed in. The auger discovery line was made here. If you can see the black outlines here, you can see this is the existing outline of the open pit resource. You can see all the soil geochemistry. You can see all the planned RC holes we're going to be drilling. The RC holes you see over the existing pit are going to be much deeper holes that have ever been drilled on this project, and we're testing for depth extension. But in addition to that, these purple fences of drilling are where we did the auger drilling that we published, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago when we were in London for the Mines and Money. Where that came from, those really high tenor golden auger values, was on this fence here. And we're very encouraged by that, because that's about 800 meters south of the southernmost point of the existing open pit. We then got another hit in the auger up here of about 0.56 grams per ton, 560 ppb gold, which again is a very high tenor value in auger, again about 800-900 meters north of the existing open pit. Again, it speaks to the fact that with more work, this little 410,000 ounce deposit is likely going to get a lot bigger. And so we'll be following up those auger results with air core and RC drilling. I don't know if that addressed the question, but.
Absolutely. Not only that, all right, something else with it also, just before we go to the closing statement from Mario Rosa and we are done with today's IIF. With the project being the largest continuous and non-producer land package over the Senegal-Mali shear zone, how do you plan to leverage this position? Basically, could there be possibilities of joint venturing part of the property? Could there be part small production scale? Could there be any ways of generating and protecting shareholders and the structure in that?
Right. That's a great question. So within the property boundary, there are near-term smaller scale production opportunities. This project is, this camp is very well known for having one of the lowest all-in sustaining costs per ounce from a production perspective. Please check out B2 Gold's Q1 earnings that came out yesterday. The numbers are mind-boggling. It also has one of the lowest discovery costs per ounce from an exploration perspective. So in this area here, we have a smallish deposit called Barani East, but that has very, very good grades. And there is an at-surface oxide portion of this resource. So we're currently evaluating through a feasibility study the economics of starting a small-scale mine there in the form of a heap leach. This is a very simple, low-cost way to give your initial mining phase a honeymoon period, a sweetheart period where you're mining and recovering the free digging oxide portion of the resource. But in terms of the bigger picture, I think if you look at the premium that Chesser received from Fortuna on a land package, 1/8, 1/7 the size of this, with an even smaller resource, I think maybe the one thing that that Chesser has going for it is its proximity to the Loulo-Gounkoto mine, being 12 to 15 kilometers away from Barrick Gold's Loulo-Gounkoto mine. But that's no guarantee that something's going to get done with Barrick, because they got a lot going on themselves. So I think we need to show a bigger situation than just 1 million ounces. And I see a very clear pathway to getting it there. And, when you're sitting on Allied Gold's doorstep and they're doing a $1 billion IPO, and by the way, we're very close to Endeavor's Massawa and Sabodala mine as well. So, I think the leverage is creating enough of a center of gravity with your deposit to really bring some interested parties to the table.
Absolutely. Well said. This concludes Jared Scharf's presentation of Desert Gold. Jared, thank you once again for your time. Great presentation. And we're happy to see the project moving forward for sure. And we'll keep following the story. So thank you very much for that. And see you next time, either somewhere in the world or in the next IIF.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, Mario and Julian. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.